idea of content isn't new. Content has been around forever. And the earliest content marketing were cave drawings. You go back to primitive man, they told a story using drawings because there was obviously no written language, but it was as a form of content marketing. They used content in that particular form to get ideas across. Then there was the old town crier. Has anyone ever seen the series Rome? HBO series? It's an old one. I'm showing how old I am again. But Bill was around for that too.
I was the first town crier.
That's where they had information from the emperor. And someone would stand on the steps of the parliament, what do they call it, the Senate building, and just talk about what was going on, okay? Then we talked about stained glass. Churches told a story through pictures, through the stained glass, through drawings. Probably at St. Leo, we'd find a couple of those with a great, great story of religion. It's just a way to get the idea across in a little bit different format. Then we talked about the printing press in the early days. There was radio, there was newsreels. Today we're looking at blogs and we're looking at artificial intelligence. And one of the things I do want to stress again is that content is not just writing stuff. Content marketing is not just putting something on paper and you say, okay, well great, I did content marketing. Content marketing is using that content to tell a great story. And marketing is the easiest thing in the world, and marketing is the most difficult thing in the world. Marketing is very, very simply telling the right story to the right people at the right time. And simple, should be able to do it. But it often proves challenging for people to do that. And we're going to talk about a couple different ways to help with that. So, content in marketing has always been around. And content in itself is your message. It's your story. Without content, the marketing has no substance. There's no tail to the story. And one of the things we'll talk about is making sure that your story is unique. The information you're sharing tells a story about how you help people, what you do. One thing that you have over everyone else, one thing that sets you apart from every other company out there is your story. There is no company that has no company, no organization, no business that has the exact same story that you do. Now, the difference between content, which is the story itself, and content marketing, it's taking a strategic approach and creating and distributing content that is valuable, that is relevant, and consistent. Again, we talk about the right story to the right people at the right time. The right story is what's valuable to your audience. The right audience is what's relative to that, or relevant to that audience. What is it that they relate to? What problems do you solve for them? How do you help them? How are you using that story to show them that you're the people that can relate to them or solve their problems? And consistent. The right time is when they're ready. Not when you're ready, not when it's convenient to you, not when you've got budgets or goals. It's when the client is ready to do it. And the best way to find that out? Consistency. The best way to be available is by being consistent. And we're looking to attract, retain, and appeal to a clearly defined audience. The idea is to drive customers into action through relevant content. One of the things too, when we talk about content in marketing and content marketing, we're not talking about a sales pitch. Content marketing should be useful, should be educational, and should be entertaining if at all possible. Okay? It should not be, hey, buy from us, hey, buy from us, hey, buy from us. It should be something that is attractive and interesting to the audience. Early examples. Poor Richard's Almanac. Does anyone know who wrote that? Was the author behind Poor Richard's Almanac?
Bill.
Yes. Ben Franklin? Bill went to high school with him. But Ben Franklin realized early on that if he produced content, or he produced a piece that was interesting to people, was useful to people, was something people would hang on to and share with their friends, he would have a winning idea. So he was one of the first and earliest adapters of content marketing. Another great example. Has anyone ever seen the Lego movie? In there, and it was, if you've not seen it, it's very interesting. It was essentially a 2-hour commercial. And it was all about all the great things you could do with Lego and how fascinating Lego was and all the doors that opened up through it. Not once in that movie did they do a pitch, try and sell anyone something. But who knows what happened to the sale of Legos after the Lego movie? Went up astronomically, a couple 100%. It also opened up doors for other markets. The Lego movie led to other characters. There's Lego Batman, Lego Star Wars, Lego's Avengers. So the marketing potential is just unbelievable, and they're not trying to sell you anything. They're simply telling a story. They told the story well, they told the story so it was interesting, and it was something that is very relevant to their audience. Now, why content marketing? We talk about content marketing and we say, look, you don't want to be salesy. You don't want to pitch. You don't want to push people into buying. And that flies in the face of what most of us have been taught. Is it safe to say, can I just see a show of hands, who has been brought up or taught that marketing is you want to show everybody what you can do? You want to show that you're better than everyone else, and you need to promote it, you need to be in front of people as often as possible. Anybody? Many of us grew up with that particular model. Many of us work for people or report to people that think that that model is still around. And if you're not pitching, you're not promoting, you're not on a sales call, you're not in front of someone, you're not doing your job. Anybody relate to that? Right? The idea is content marketing flies completely in the face of that. Okay? And if you do it correctly, you're not pitching. You're not doing a spiel. You're helping people with things that they would like to hear about, and you're engaging them. The biggest difference is with traditional marketing, the way we've all grown up, we pushed it. We pushed it out to people. It was somewhat in your face. We want you to see this. This is great. Look how wonderful this is. When we talk about content marketing, we're not trying to push anything. We're trying to put information out there that pulls people in. We talked about when the right time is for people to buy. You know what it is? When they are ready. And the idea of content marketing is to make it appealing to them so that when they are ready, they're not considering anyone else. Okay? Again, flies in the face of what a lot of us were taught. Will upset a few people when they look at some of your strategies until they fully understand it. And is it wrong? Are these people nuts? Well, if they are, they're in the very big majority. Can I see show of hands? Business to business marketers, people that market from a business to a business. Okay. A few of us. How about business to consumer? So about half and half. And so how about both?
I think both.
Yeah. Okay. When we talk about content marketing and we talk about this approach, it's not unique. Today, 89% of all business-to-business marketers are using content marketing. So if you're not, you are in the minority and you are up against people, the majority of your competition that is doing this. Now, if you're in this 89%, you're in a very crowded field. So if you're doing it, you better make sure you're doing it well. If you're not doing it, it's time to start. And I have a little saying, we talked about it with kids on a soccer team. don't worry about being great right away. Start off by being good. We work with kids on just kicking the ball straight at first. Then they can worry about trying to score goals, do bicycle kicks and all the other stuff. Okay? And on average, okay, business to consumer is 86%. Not quite as much, but again, if you're in the 14% that are not doing this, and you're in business to consumer, you're in the minority. It could be where you start to see you're losing share. What you had last year may not be a gimme for this year. Your growth plans may be affected. And again, if you're in the majority of people that are using it, are you doing it better than anyone else? Are you doing it more frequently? Are your topics more appealing than other topics? And are you rating the content in a way that is about your audience and what's attractive to them versus this is how great we are? Okay? And more to say. So with that said, there's a lot of content marketing going on. Does that mean that traditional marketing is dead? Show of hands, who uses traditional marketing nowadays? Traditional marketing being billboards, television, radio, newspapers, and print. Right? Should you abandon that? I would say probably not. I would also say I don't know. The bottom line is you have to talk about, obviously, the right story to the right people at the right time. Who is your target audience? And how does your target audience find information? And when we talk about a target audience, we're talking about not just anyone who will buy your product. We're talking about the people that you specifically want to talk to. The people that you specifically want to sit down with. Not just anybody with 10 bucks in their pocket, but the people that keep you up at night and you're thinking, how do I just get a few more of them? If that audience is reading the paper, if that audience is listening to radio, listening to TV, that could be a good method to do it. It could also be lost and drowned out. What we're going to say is this. Traditional marketing is not dead, but it shouldn't be your entire strategy. It should be part of a strategy, and you should use traditional marketing to help advance the cause of your content marketing. Now, here is the biggest difference between traditional marketing and the way we've done things forever and what content marketing brings to the game. Your traditional marketing is outbound. You're pushing it. People consider it at times an interruption. You're putting it out there and you're hoping that people pay attention to it. It's, hey, look at us. Hey, this is what we do. Isn't this great? Here's how we do things. And it's a push. And that's where you talk about both sales and marketing, cold calls, banner ads, and different things, TV, radio. It is all focused on who? Anybody? Traditional marketing has always been focused on who? It's always been, sir, go ahead.
It's the person giving the,
I'm sorry?
person putting out the...
It's a person putting out the information. It's the marketer. It is, hey, here's what we do. I want you to know what I do. It's important for me to tell you what I do. It's marketer-centric. When we talk about content marketing, we talk about the pull, and that's where we talk about things that are informational, things that are educational, blogging where you're doing things that are attractive or interesting or informative for your audience. It's SEO, it's social media, it's opt-ins, and all of it should be customer-centric. Meaning it should be for the customer. It's not about you, it's about them. It's not about what you are, it's what you do to help your target audience. Whether that help is solving a problem, whether that help is educational, whether it's informational, whether it's something that they can share and look smart to other people, it should all be based on being customer focused. And once upon a time, outbound was the way to go. That's how great brands got started. That's how Coke built an empire. Today, they would have to do things a little bit different. One of the biggest changes too in marketing is people don't want to be sold to. Does anyone here like to be pitched, proposed to, solicited? How many buildings have no solicitation signs nowadays? Anybody have a sign like that on their building? Why is that? Because you're mean? You don't like people? I am, and I'm probably not alone. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a business development guy. I respect the time, effort, and energy it takes to prospect, but I could spend my entire day just fielding sales calls, just fielding emails. Is anyone in here in the same boat? The idea is that that is considered an interruption. Someone is pushing that at me versus me going out and finding useful information that I want to go after. One of the things too, nowadays, it's the age, go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you were going to keep going, and I didn't want to lose this thought.
I'll almost always keep going on something, okay?
Well, I'm thinking, while you were talking about this, at least to me, it's almost like people that market that way, the ones that come to your door, with a little flyer, or call you on the phone. It's almost like now I just distrust them. If that's the way they're communicating to me, I don't trust this. They're out for themselves, they know nothing about me, I can't trust them. And it just seems to me that's where it's getting at. A lot of people, as you know, few people now relatively have landlines. And one of the big reasons we got rid of our landline, among several, was that we never got any more marketing calls. Because I just can't trust somebody trying to pound me with something. So that's all.
No, fair. Does anyone else feel that way? And I'm a little bit, and you feel the way you do, thank you for sharing that. To me, it doesn't come down to necessarily trust. It just means that if it's relevant and it's someone that did do their homework and they're reaching out to me, I'll pay attention to that. But how many times are you intruded by people who have no clue what you do, have no idea who you are or what you're all about? To me, that's someone who I just think, well, they haven't figured it out yet.
Web marketing companies.
What's that?
Web marketing companies.
Yeah.
They email saying, oh, we can get your website in #1 position.
Yep.
Like, how do you know that?
Exactly. Well, we're going to stop doing that.
ones all the time do that.
Yep. They do that to us.
Yeah,
I was looking at your site and I know I can get you on the first page of Google. Well, you weren't looking at my site or you know we're there. So, no one likes a sales pitch. And to your point, people feel that it is more intrusive today than ever before. 91% of all people say that they feel that marketing today or advertising is intrusive, and it's becoming more and more intrusive all the time. I want to come back to this. No one likes to be sold to. No one likes to be pitched. But who in here likes to buy? Right? Everybody likes to buy. Nobody likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy stuff. It's fun. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. Especially if what you're buying helps you. Whether it be something small where it just helps you feel a little bit better about yourself, you think you look better, you got some new shoes and you're styling, or it's something that improves your business, something that saves you money, something that makes your life easier, more rewarding, more exciting, okay? So people don't like to be sold to, but people still love to buy. What's different, or what has always been the same, and what's more important than ever is they want to do it on their own terms. They want to do it when they're ready. And nowadays, the whole world demands engagement. They want to feel part of something. They want to feel like they're out searching for things. And you are competing, when we talk about advertising, marketing, you're competing with everyone and everything for that engagement. and you're competing with everyone, including other companies, your competition, April the giraffe, and cat videos. All right? How many people have ever seen a cat video on YouTube? All right? They're everywhere. All right? They're taking things over, even if you're not a cat fan. And that's competing with everything we're doing for people's time and attention. And again, people want to be engaged, people demand engagement, people want to do their own homework. And the best way to get that message across is through good content. Content is king. You've heard that said before? I believe, and we believe, content is not just king, content is emperor of the world. It's all about content. And again, if you're using content effectively, you'll be part of the kingdom. And if you're not using content effectively, I don't want to say you'll be the court jester, but you're not being as effective as you could be. And you could find yourself losing share to the competition for people that are doing it right. Because again, remember, you want to focus on inbound marketing, supplement that with outbound. Inbound marketing, again, something that draws people in versus you promoting, you pitching. The audience also, again, people like to be entertained, people like to engage, they don't want to be pitched to, and more than ever, people are searching on things and engaged at the office, at home, on the bus, driving their car, okay? And you're competing with all of that. Now, there's many benefits to content marketing. We're going to talk about 3. Number 1, brand awareness. The idea is for you to get your name out there. We want to drive traffic to the website. We want you to be considered the thought leader. If you're doing content marketing effectively, you're the thought leader. People look to you for advice and knowledge. Here's an example. Anyone ever hear of this company? It's Purple Mattress. Can I see show of hands if you've been solicited, heard this? Can you guys raise your hands a little higher? Turn around and look. What do these two have in common, these two people? Very different backgrounds, but what do they have in common?
They're young.
They have glasses.
They're young. They're millennials, most likely. Most likely, right? I have never heard of this company or seen this, but millions of people have. And they use content marketing very effectively in 2 ways. Number 1, they put together a great YouTube video. Company was struggling, put together a YouTube video, went viral, shared with millions and millions of people. But not to me. Why is that? I'm not the right audience. I'm an old fat guy. They want younger people. It's a younger audience. And the younger people, if we have a whole room full of people, and I ask that same question, almost all the millennials raise their hands because they're marketing to that audience. And here's where they did a good job with using YouTube videos. They told the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears to promote their mattress company. These guys started up 20 years ago. They had 42 million views on social media with this. I'd say that's viral. How, with traditional marketing, could you reach 42 million people? Right.
My pillow.
What's that?
My pillow.
It might be a little tough. How much would it cost you? Yeah, My Pillow. I love that one. Okay. So, the first one, brand awareness. Brand engagement. The idea is you want to engage with your clients. You want to build trust. You want to build loyalty. Ideally, you want to create brand evangelists. What is a brand evangelist? Someone who is loyal to you. Someone who tells their friends about you. Someone that would feel like they were cheating on you if they went to another company. All right? I've gone to the same dental hygienist since she was right out of college. And I get different promotions for different dentists all the time. I couldn't possibly go to another hygienist. I'd feel like I was cheating. Okay? I'm a brand evangelist for this particular dentist office. So you're looking for brand evangelists. One thing about them, and brand evangelists feel like they've got you figured out. This company, I know I can trust them. I'm going to look out for them because they're looking out for me. Now, they can be your best friends. One thing about a brand evangelist, what happens if you let them down once too often? They start to hate you. They feel personally cheated. They feel like you turned on them. They were so loyal, and look what happened. An example of that. And customers can make or break you. Who's heard of United Airlines? What's the story on United Airlines? What do you know them for right now? They
Dragon people.
Yeah, they beat the crap out of their passengers, okay? Is that completely accurate? Beat the crap out of one guy, and here it is. But that's what everyone knows about. They drag somebody off the plane, a doctor, right? Beat the tar out of them, and let a flight attendant in his seat, okay? Probably not the best business practice you could do. So a brand evangelist can be your best friend or can turn on you. Make sure, too, that you're taking advantage of opportunities. Here's an example. United Airlines is in the toilet right now. Everybody hates them. There we go. Other airlines figured out that, hey, these guys are down, what are we going to do? Delta, a few days after the United incident, had a plane sitting on the tarmac for an extended period of time. What did they do? First of all, they did not beat up their passengers. They went and delivered pizza. So their story is, hey, look, we're not the guys that beat everybody up. We're the guys that give you pizza. Do you think they made the most of this? They posted it on their sites. They pushed it out. They did videos of it. They're using it as content in their promotions. Not to be outdone, WestJet said, look, not only do we not beat you up, we're not just going to give you pizza. They found out what everybody on the plane wanted for Christmas, and when a plane landed, they had gifts waiting at the airport with Santa. Now, would you consider that pretty brilliant marketing? And now what do you do? It's a great story. Now let's get that story out. Okay? They built brand evangelists. United lost brand evangelists. And lastly, the third thing, lead generation. The ultimate goal of all marketing is to do what? To convert, to get people to react, to get a client, to get someone who wants to do business with you. Content marketing, again, if done properly with the right strategy, generates leads. An example of this. Here's a company, River Pools and Spas, okay? Does anyone know anything about selling pools? It's a very competitive business. There are lots of pool companies out there, and for the most part, what is a pool? A hole with water in it. You got a little bit of a container and water in it. So it's pretty tough for you to separate yourself from the competition. This company went from spending, and this is River Pools and Spas, they figured it out, they put a plan together, they went from spending $250,000 a year on TV, radio, and PPC, which almost bankrupted them, and they went all in on content marketing. And what they did, they started to do educational articles on how much does a pool cost? What can we do to make it better? They focused on the questions that people wanted and asked, well, how much room do I actually have to set aside? How long does it take to put this in? How do I figure out the cost to see what I can afford? They focused on what was really important to the client instead of, hey, buy a pool for me. Now, we talk about content and we talk about a strategy, okay? Why do you need a strategy, okay? Because nowadays, good content just isn't enough anymore. Content has to be 10 times better than everyone else's. It has to be not only relevant, because people expect it to be a little bit relevant, but what we consider radically relevant. This does more, is more interesting, more informative, it solves more problems. I want to tune into it more than anyone else. How do you do that? It doesn't happen by accident. You have to put together a plan to make it happen. Again, content is not just writing stuff. Content marketing is not just writing stuff and then pushing it out somewhere. I'm going to ask everyone to, if you would, take out your worksheets now and follow along, don't follow along, whatever you like. But when we talk about a content strategy and content marketing, there are 7 different components to content marketing. Who in the room is a marketing team of one, a powerful marketing team of one? Most of us. I'm going to say this to you. I'm sure that you're very smart. I'm sure that you're very accomplished. I'm sure you're good at figuring things out. But to do this right, it's going to be very difficult for you to do all the different aspects of it by yourself. So I'm going to say it might be something where either you get some help from within your company, you look to a marketing company like us, or plan on giving up all your weekends and evenings, okay? When we talk about a content marketing strategy and doing content marketing properly, there are 7 key elements to it. Objectives, showing your unique value, understanding who your audience is and what's important to them, producing the content, it's managing that content, distributing the content, and then measuring it to see whether or not it worked. Because if you're going to spend money on marketing, don't you want to know whether or not it was effective? You can measure it in different ways. Okay? Let's start with number 1, objectives. What are your business goals? And that sounds like it's so simple. But when you're sitting down, you're going to start to write content, you're going to do any type of marketing, what do you expect from it? What are your goals? What do you hope to accomplish by it? What would you consider a success? What would you consider a failure? What are you looking to do? Do you want to generate more leads? Do you want to increase your awareness? Do you want to produce more customer loyalty? Engage them a little bit more? And when we talk about content marketing and we talk about your goals, the goal is not to be good at content marketing. The goal is to be good at business because you're using content marketing and you're using it effectively. So number 1, make sure, sit down and establish your goals. Number 2, what's the unique value? How is your content different from everyone else's? One of the questions we ask everyone, if we sit down and we talk to people and we say, look, or they ask for our help, look, I need help in marketing, here's what I need. One of the questions we ask every time, and all of our people ask every time, what makes you unique? Right? Jim, you sat in on this and I asked you that question, okay? And it makes people uncomfortable because you don't like bragging about yourself because you're a humble guy. But the question is this, and you need to ask yourself this question, you need to be able to answer this question. Why am I going to do business with you versus anyone else who does what you do? And that needs to be the focus, the core of your message. And more importantly, how does that help the customer? How is that message speaking to, solving the problems of, engaging your customers? It's not about here's how great I am, it's how this is my unique skill, this is my unique gift. What does it mean to you? When people are talking to you, when you're promoting your product, you're doing content marketing, you're calling someone on the phone, there are 3 things that every client on the other end of the conversation wants to know. Who are you? Why should I care? What do you want me to do? Your unique value is why people should care. Who are you should be answered in, here's who I am, this is what we do, more importantly, this is what I can do for you. who specifically are you trying to reach? Who's your audience? Whether you're business to consumer, business to business, you're all trying to speak to a select group of people. Jim, you're looking for people that are in transition, maybe looking to sell their business. They've been doing it for a long time. They're just making sure what it's worth. Not everyone is in that field. You need to find a way where whatever you're going to do is going to speak to the audience. One thing, too. There has never been more availability of market research than today. Big Brother knows a little bit of everything. One thing that we as marketers can never lose sight of, these are not numbers, these are not demographics, these are not titles, these are people. Okay? There are people that have wants, needs, and desires, and the idea of the content is to tap into that and make them know that you're the right company, you're the right person that can solve their problem. And what types of content? The types of content need to be designed with your target audience in mind, and what's the best way for them to find that information. One of the things you'll hear us say is, look, your message needs to be clear, your message is your message, but the way people gather information nowadays, the way people consume information nowadays, and the way people disseminate information is unique to their audience. What methods are you using in your production to reach that audience in a way that they want to take in information? So there's microsites nowadays, there's how-to guides, there's surveys, infographics, blogs, white papers, case studies, ebooks, webinars, slides. What is the best method for you to reach that target audience? And I'll give you a hint. It's probably not just one method. All right? If all you're doing is blogging, blogging's a lie. You're going to reach people that read blogs. You're going to reach people that follow you. You may not reach people that look for content in other ways. You may not reach people that respond to an infographic. You may not reach people that would respond more to a webinar. We talk about people reading the paper every day. Who here reads the paper every day? I do. I'm one of the last guys in America. Marcia and I do. I finish mine, I give it to Marcia.
No, I actually
Marcia,
pay
I'm
for my own paper.
All right, good. I know, it'd be terrible not to. But if you're only advertising in the paper, you're going to reach Marcia and I, but you're not going to reach the rest of the audience. It's the same thing in what you're doing. What is the best way to reach that target audience? And it's almost always a combination. Easiest illustration is, think about the last movie you saw. What made you see it? Was it because Oprah said it was great? Was it because you saw the trailer, you saw the reviews, you read it in the paper? Most likely it's a combination of all of the above, and eventually it got tipped in that direction. Also production. Can I ask, who is responsible for content for their company? Who has to write content for their company right now? Kelly, I know you do, right? How do you produce enough content? First of all, how much is enough?
My case is that I have too much content and I have to decide what I need to disseminate.
How many people in here would love to have too much content? I see Kelly's mouth just watered, right? How much is too much? And for most of us, the problem isn't having too much. The problem is, I know I need to do some content. I know I need to write something. I know I need to produce something. Number one, it's taking the time to sit down and do it. Number two, it's figuring out what's going to be the most relevant. And number three is, okay, I can do this a couple times. I can make an infographic. I can write an article or two. I can share an article or two. How do you ensure that you have enough content? One of the best ways to do that is to repurpose your existing content. Okay? If you have a blog, can you turn that into a white paper? Can that then become an infographic? Can you use part of that to have a seminar? Can you put together slides for a business development presentation? Okay? Number one is, make sure you're using that content in multiple ways. Don't waste it. You put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it, assuming that it's relevant, use it in different formats. Why? Because people gather, consume, and disseminate information in different ways. The message may be great, and it may be to the target audience, but if I don't see it, what good is it? And I may see it this way, but not this way. Secondly, make sure that you're a good curator of that information. Use your experience, your background, your advice, your knowledge of the business, and make sure that you're one of the thought leaders in there. You can also share other information that you feel is relevant. How do you find ideas? And how do you find ideas? You have too much content. How do you get too much content?
They've just hoarded it for years and years.
Okay,
And
so just years and years of experience.
It's never been out there, and unfortunately, the industry is just really slow to react to anything.
Okay.
Most of every company, all the companies, with the exception of their manufacturers, the manufacturers get it, but those who are on the distribution and sales end of things are so slow to react to anything. It's still stuck in
Okay.
1985.
So you've got a database going back to 1985 of all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
And slowly getting it out, but you have to make it current. And
For the rest of us that are struggling with finding enough content, how do you get it? It's in your brain, most likely. A lot of it's there. You've been probably doing your job for a while. You're probably pretty good at it. Your team may be able to supply some pretty good content for you, if you ask. How about your customers? Find out what's relevant to them. Find out what their biggest challenges are. Find out what makes them tick. Are you waving to me?
Yeah.
Hi,
There's also
Go ahead.
there's also a cool resource to write down. If you haven't heard of it, there's a website called answerthepublic.com,
Okay.
and you can type in virtually any topic, and it will tell you all of the most relevant, popular questions that people are actually asking or typing into Google for any particular business category.
What is that again? What's the name of it?
Answerthepublic.com.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm about to get into marketing. And obviously read, pay attention, become an industry expert. Learn everything you can and make yourself the thought leader. Make yourself able to find all the good content. And who's responsible for the content? We talked about having a mighty team of one. If you're a mighty team of one, you need to be the person to handle the overall strategy. You need to make sure that you're quality control. You need to be the writer. You need to be the producer. You need to be the community manager. You need to make sure you take care of optimization and analytics, okay? Very difficult to do for one person, but all of these are part of managing your content, okay? And how much content is enough content? The formula is you're supposed to have 5 pieces of content for every buying persona. So for every group, every demographic that is interested in your business, you should produce 5 pieces of content throughout the year. Easier said than done. If you've got 5 different personas, that's five different pieces of content for everyone. And one thing too, always go with quality over quantity, but be consistent. You can't do this every once in a while. It has to be something that people can count on. And the best way to know if you're doing it enough, if you're doing it frequently, put it on a calendar. Otherwise, it's going to be, well, I think I said this, or I feel like I said it all the time. So put it on a calendar so you know exactly how much you're doing it and to whom it's going. How do you distribute content? Lots of different ways. We use what's called the PESO model. PESO is paid, earned, shared, and owned. you should be producing content or having content in as many of these areas as possible. Most of us are using paid. And that's your advertising, paid or owned, I'm sorry. It's advertising, banner ads, pay-per-click, sponsored posts, things that you're buying, you're paying money to do. Owned is things that you own and control. That's your website, it's your blog, it's anything that you're publishing or producing, it's email blasts. Shared is anything you're putting out there to the world. It's your Facebook page, it's your LinkedIn, it's YouTube, Instagram, pluses and minuses to all. And then earned is what you put out there, and then what people actually think about you, what people write about you, what people determine about you based on what you're doing. So it's your public relations, it's outreach, it's influencer marketing, it's the reviews you're getting. And pluses and minuses, paid media is great because you're going to see immediate results. You're going to know right away if it's working or not. Drawbacks, it's not considered as reliable as organic or earned marketing. Owned, you control all the content. You determine exactly what's going to be on there. Shared, it's a way to engage customers, it's a way to engage clients, and it's a way to be found by a lot more people than you may think. And earned is, good news is, if you're getting good reviews, if people are saying great things about you, there's nothing that's considered more reliable. The bad news is, if people are saying not so great things about you, that's going to be out there and it's very hard to control. And how do you know if it's working? Measure it. Simple formula for ROI. Obviously, you put out a certain amount of money. That's your investment. What's your return? You put this much out. How much did you bring in? And make sure when you're doing this, be realistic. Measure everything. Measure time, effort, energy. Don't try and kid yourself that it may be working better than you think. And the problem is, very few people have tracking in place to be able to know whether or not this is working effectively. But who thinks they have a very good tracking mechanism in place? Who thinks they track their information very well? I think we do. You do good. It's easier with what you're doing. You're probably not getting thousands and thousands of leads. The ones you get are probably good ones.
That's the difficulty, actually, is the more exposure we get, the problem is we get more people who are really not buying your services. They want to sell you services.
Oh, okay.
So trying to target the right audience is the problem.
Right. And you're setting yourself up for people to come after you, which, okay. You're obviously doing something right if they, hopefully they're coming after you with relevant
It's a slow and
information.
steady increase, and that's what I look to do, and not try to get a big speed bump and then wonder why we've lost all, visits.
Right. Couple ways to track. Number one, make sure when you're tracking, you're realistic about what you can and can't track, and make sure you're realistic about what your goals are with the results. One way to track is through brand awareness. All right, there's metrics for brand awareness, and that would be how many people came to your website, right? How much traffic you got, and Google Analytics does a great job on these. How many times you were posted, or how many people saw your video. You can tell this by social insights. Whether or not there was social chatter about you. Okay? Brand awareness is people are actually finding you and they've got things to say about you, or they're engaging with you in some way. And engagement metrics also are time on the site, bounce rate, likes, shares, tweets, pins, how many people are linking to you, and then what comments are, what the comments are about you. And again, this is a metric. Not everyone measures this. This is the hardest one to determine whether or not there was good ROI on, because how do you measure that? How do you measure what the dollar is for that? What it basically does, though, it brings people in and engages them, and hopefully they'll continue to follow you through good content. And last but not least, the most important type of metrics, the easiest to measure, and the thing we all subscribe to is what generated leads. How many people actually called you up or filled out a form or subscribed to your newsletter, and you can track that you've now engaged them, they're a potential client. To wrap it up, we talk about content marketing, and we want to make sure we understand the fundamental shift, okay? The shift is, instead of you pushing information through outbound marketing, the shift is to engage people so that it's inbound, they come to you. The way to do that, make sure that the information you're supplying is useful, relevant, attractive, and make sure too, you're not just putting out stuff. Invest time, effort, and energy into a content strategy, okay? Because the idea is, with 90% of the market doing content marketing, making sure that what you're doing is not just relevant, but radically relevant, so that you stand out and become useful for the clients. Okay? Questions? Haley?
I have a question. So for our business, we deal with a lot of people who are older. So for instance, in group marketing especially, a lot of people do it. So how would you, so we rely on that really old-fashioned, like, oh, you're calling people and, all the things you're saying you don't really want to do. So what would,
Well, they have a place.
Right.
They have a place.
Right, but how would you do this kind of thing for people who aren't necessarily online, and these kind of strategies is harder to implement for that?
I would say two things. Number one, I think that the older audience is online more than you think they are. I'd also say that a lot of your business with group, as I understand it, is group leaders, right? People that are going to organize trips, and they're going to go to Lancaster County, and they're going to say, well, when I'm there, what am I going to do? I've got to go to the Amish experience. So I would put content together that is useful to group leaders, okay? Meaning it would be the best way to organize a trip, how to get more people to sign up, what to do when you're on the bus with people and they're getting antsy, how do you add another round of meals somewhere, good places to see in Lancaster County besides us. And where do these people get information? It's tough because you're marketing to a huge, huge area, but there are definitely sites that people are looking at. They're in some of the industry pubs, some of the trade pubs, some of the travel magazines, but there's definitely ways to do it, and I think they're online more than you think they are. But I would focus my content, my useful information, to group leaders specifically, because they're going to make or break you with that. And you and I can talk a little bit afterwards.
What's the difference between an article and a white paper?
Not a whole lot other than the way it's produced, okay? An article would be something that can be published in a different publication, meaning you're supplying something that can be used in my publication, my newspaper, my blog, whereas a white paper is specifically something I've produced physically that I can hand out to people, okay? Really not much of a difference, other than it's how it's classified and what you're going to do. I think it's a lot of semantics.
I would just caution, especially if you're using information from other sources, there's a lot of copyright situations now, and there's been more than one occasion that I have heard where the original author took exception to having his or her information repeated without permission or without recognition.
Good point. It's certainly okay to share information that you think is relevant. Just make sure you don't bill it as your own. Make sure you give credit where credit is due. I think most people are happy to share different information, but they do want to make sure that they're recognized as the author. So it's a good point.
Well, and that's also kind of one of the differences between white papers and articles. Articles, you don't necessarily have to cite sources, but white papers you do. So you're citing all the sources of your information while you're still displaying it in your own unique way.
speak a little bit about how to develop relevant content for the folks that we're trying to talk to? I can sit in my office and say, well, I think this is important for them, or I think they think this would be important. I bet they're interested in that, but I don't really know.
Right.
And I mean, short of, old-fashioned, put a focus group in a room or something, how do you really uncover what the people that you're talking to feel is relevant?
And that is the million-dollar question, okay? I'm gonna open that up. How do you find out what's really important to your audience?
I can take some customers and ask them, can, try to get them together and tap into them, but that's pretty time consuming.
Right.
An idea, possible.
Say again?
If you have traffic going to your website, that traffic, you can do a quick survey, ask a few questions, get feedback. Maybe you give them something in return for their time. Or you
Talk
have,
to the people that are already going to your website.
correct, yeah.
Or existing clients. I would say too, and I agree with you, I would say too, talk to people that have bought your services. Talk to people that are your evangelists and say, look, what was it specifically about us that made you go with our company? Can you give me an example of, if you've looked at other companies, why did you choose us? I'll say too, if you go to your workbook, number 3, we talk about your audience and who specifically are you trying to reach. And the question is, what are their needs? Right? People that are looking for you. I would say the biggest thing is you're a title company. So what is people's biggest fear? Why do you use a title company? To make sure that what doesn't happen?
That you don't lose your property.
That you don't lose your property. So I would say that that's fairly significant to people that are looking to buy title insurance. And it's specifically, here's an example of someone who didn't have title insurance. Here's an example of when the title was contested and how we came in and helped them do that. Look to who they are, what stage in life they are, what's important to them, what their fears are, what their needs are. They need peace of mind, they need security, they need comfort, and it's one thing to spend a couple $100 on title insurance, it's another thing to lose your property because you didn't do that. So I would say that the most important things, focus on a couple things. Just what you know about the industry, some ways that you know that your company or your industry has helped people. I'd also focus on a little bit of horror stories about things that happened because you didn't do it, okay? And I think most importantly, talk to your clients. Talk to people that have actually bought something from you and see what their key motivators were. We talk a lot about split testing different things, and sometimes what you think is the reason why people are buying or the reason why people reacted, it's not the reason that they're going to cite or what made them tick. I would say I'd take as much guesswork out of it as possible. Let's talk to some people that are doing it. I'd also take a look at the competition, see what they're doing. I'd take a look at like businesses in other states, other coasts, and just familiarize yourself as much as possible. See what you like, see what you think is relevant, but there is, lots and lots of different information.
Some other suggestions, Chris, there's no substitute for talking to your customers directly and just asking them directly.
Right.
What is it that interests you? But aside from that, if you're looking for some basic ways online, like Adam said, something like Ask the Public is a great way to get ideas. You can also look at places like Quora or LinkedIn groups that have interests similar to what people are looking for, just to get general ideas and questions. So if you're tracking LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, places where people hang out and are talking about types of topics that you're covering, that's also a good place to get ideas.
What is Quora?
Quora is a question and answer site. So literally people will spend days on there just asking questions about
Quora.
just about anything. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
We'll send you the link.
already.
We'll make it easy on you,
Okay.
we'll send you the link for that.
thanks.
Same thing too, the link Adam talked about, we'll make sure we include that. We're gonna send a little follow-up, thank you for coming, we'll put those two links in there, so good, thank you. One thing to keep in mind too, there are lots of sites and there's a lot more availability, and our generation was probably a little bit more guarded with sharing information for competitors and what we're doing. That's not the world we live in anymore. People are willing to share, and there are plenty of sites like these two just talked about. So information is there if you look at it. The world is changing. It's a lot more open than it used to be.
So I understand the whole idea of not being pushy, and I've had to have this argument with my company.
Yes?
But what about, saying at the end of a post or a case study, if you need our help, contact us here, is that?
It is absolutely not only okay, it's great. One of the things too, it should always include, or it's okay to include a call to action, okay? And that's the difference of, look, if I can help you, give me a call. That is not, and I'll always agree with that, that is not in your face, that's not too pushy, because you've supplied good information, you've supplied relevant information. You know, I'm gonna say the same thing to you guys today. You know, if I can help you with anything, please let me know. I don't think that's being overly pushy, nor do I think it is in your promotional material. Are you pro or con? If I can help you, let me know.
What do you mean pro or con? Well, I don't know, I've been going back and forth on that issue.
Okay.
And I know a lot of the marketing blogs say that you should, but I just want to make sure we're not coming off too pushy. So,
I think it goes back to what I said earlier too. People want to know three things. Who are you? Why should I care? And what do you want me to do? If you make it easy for people to do business with you or contact you, they probably will, or at least they might.
yeah.
So yeah, I think that's absolutely justified, and I would recommend. Because again, you now are the industry expert, you're an authority, you help people with information. Nothing wrong with saying if we can help you with anything else, let us know. Again, if I'm interested in what you have, I find that helpful. If you've been an intrusion on my day and you're pushing something at me, I won't. But remember, if I sought you out for a reason. Okay? I'll go back to Bill. Bill likes to be one of the last ones.
Just to piggyback on your question, I'm not naive. I would expect any website or any promotional material to have a, hey, use me at the end of it. I mean, that's the price of getting this information. So the kind of information that I get from a website, and it goes to your question too, and I talked about trust earlier. If I'm getting information from you over time, being consistent, I would feel comfortable moving forward. I would consider you first. Look at Easy Solutions and EZMarketing. I was sitting here thinking about this as you were going through this. Over the last few years, I participated in several of these free seminars, and I have to tell you that my opinion of this organization is really, really positive.
And thank you.
And I would not hesitate saying, hey, because I've gotten this information from you and you did, yes, I know you want business. I mean, that's why you're
Sure.
doing this. That's no big surprise. But yeah, it's not down my throat, and I'm leaving here with really valuable information. And I have no qualms. I'm sitting here thinking, I know some people that can use this kind of information, and I would not hesitate to recommend it. Isn't that the kind of customer that you want, or potential customer that you want? So it's a shout out to you guys too, because I do really appreciate this, but it just kind of, it just kind of shows everything that you're saying. I'm thinking about my attitude over time, and it's exactly what's going on.
Good. And good. I couldn't have said it better myself, thank you. And the difference too is that, again, I came to you. So I came to you for a reason, and again, if it's relevant, I consider it helpful. It's not, I'm trying to shove something down your throat. I'm trying to make you do something you're not interested in, don't want to do. So good, thank you. Bill?
Call to action. When you create that, if you're creating it in such a fashion that you really do have your client's best interest at heart, you will not feel as though you're imposing on them, trust me on this. A great client of mine once said that they got a complaint from one of their prospective clients because they simply failed to put the invitation out. If you're gonna have a really great banquet and you'd like me to come, would you please send me an invitation? That's really all a strong, positive call to action really is.
Good point, Bill. Right, so let's say it goes back to motive. If you think you can offer help, great. If you're just doing it to push it, yeah, that might be. Then it's pushing. Good. Great, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome,
Profound.
Chris.
I was at an industry trade conference recently and took a course on marketing. And the speaker said that videos get more and more important because people would rather watch than read. Just wondered your opinion on that.
My opinion is, and the thing is, are people influenced more by videos because they'd rather watch than read? Thoughts? Who would rather watch a video than read an article? Who would rather read the article? Okay. And to that point, is video important? Absolutely. Video is important because it helps you be found. All right, Google is very happy. Google loves YouTube and places relevance to it. Do you know why? They own it, right? And it's because it works, but they own it. I mean, they're not dumb either. They push it there. And I would say that, again, people gather, consume, disseminate information differently. There are a lot of people that would rather watch a video. There are a lot of people who would rather read an article. And then there's probably even more people that might do a little bit of both.
It all depends on what you're looking for, too.
So, do I agree with their statement? Yes. Do I think, though, that if you have a choice between only doing a video or posting an article, I would do both?
It's nice
I
that,
think
like,
it,
well, how Facebook puts words on it now, puts the subtitles, because most of the time I'm at work, I can't watch a video unless I have headphones on, and I just find it distracting or what have you, so
Right.
it's nice when I have the subtitles and I can get away with watching a video without it.
Yep. Good point. Example two. How many people have text or text in their voicemail right now, where you can see it? I love it. Why? Because if I'm gonna, and it's because, like the rest of us, I'm frantic, I'm busy, wherever I am, I need to be somewhere else. I like the written word because, number one, I determine how quickly I want to consume that, whether or not I want to jump around, whether or not I can skip to the bottom, just get to the punchline. When I get a text message, I can do that. Did you ever listen to a voicemail? And it was, hey, this is Chris. Just sitting here thinking about, so, and a video, to some people, maybe the same way. But again, if it's interesting, if it's engaging, if it's what I wanted, it's great. But I would say I would go with, if I had a choice, I'd go with both. Because people want to get information differently. I don't have time to watch a video mostly, but I can read something quickly. Okay. It's how you get the news.
It speaks to the audience,
Right?
and who you want to reach and how you want to reach them. It goes back to saying, okay, well, does my audience look at video, or do they want to see a white paper or an article or a blog?
Yep. Right. And again, for your target audience, I do both. Just example. How do you look at the news every day? Does everyone look at the news every day? Who reads the paper?
Sunday.
Marcia. Okay. Who gets their news because they watch WGAL or CNN or Fox News or whatever? Who does that? Okay. How many people get their news because they look at their phone and they have a news site? So one isn't right, one isn't wrong, but if you only are getting information from the newspaper, you're only going to appeal to 3 or 4 of us. If you're only giving information on the new, like the TV news, you're only going to reach a certain amount of people. If you integrate it and produce information for all of those mediums, you're going to get a chance to reach everybody, or almost everybody. Okay? So one isn't right, one isn't wrong. I would say always do as much as you possibly can, as much as you can afford to do. Okay? And again, look at, to your point, where does your target audience get their information from mostly? That's start there, and then branch out. Because obviously you can't do everything.